We are now joined by the Afghanistan ambassador to Sri Lanka, Ashraf Hedri. Ashraf, thank you very much for joining us at this hour. Probably you can tell us how significant is this takeover of Panjshir by the Taliban?
Well, it's really too early to comment on this situation because Panjshir is a very complicated and complex national geography of a main valley, then with branched valleys, where the Taliban have apparently taken the road through the main valley, but of course they're still probably planning to fight their way through the rest of the main valley, but then there are other sub-valleys which are even more difficult to fight there and to capture, and that's where much of the resistance will continue to happen. Much like when the Soviets tried for 9-10 years, they would go there once or twice a year with a larger scale operation, both from ground and air, which is we've seen, I think, over the past few days, and the main valley areas where the Taliban apparently have been joined by the special forces of a neighboring country, including their drones and aircrafts assets. And so this situation is extremely grim for the people of Panjshir, which I think of in people as they have unfortunately been cut from basic services, including electricity, telephone, communications lines, as well as food. And I'm sure displaced around in the valleys, which are pretty much mountains. And these people also, let's remember, are extremely poor but resilient, of course, as apparent from the name of their province, Panjshir, which means 5 lions. And lions, of course, in this strip of Afghanistan have not easily given up on their demand on behalf of the Afghan people for freedom, independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. And as Ahmad Massoud has recently been calling on the Taliban for meaningful talks that could lead up to the formation of an inclusive and representative government, which was one of his conditions in order to stop resistance and to join forces for sustainable peace and stability in Afghanistan. A demand that unfortunately, although is consistent with the conditions set by the United Nations Security Council resolution, which was recently passed and supported by the international community, has not been met by the Taliban, and as a result, there's ongoing resistance and fighting between the two sides.
Well, Ashraf, the Taliban have promised to name their new formation of government in the coming week. What should we expect? Well,
it's one thing that we hear about inclusive and representative as defined by the Taliban, probably riddled with many limitations as far as power sharing and decision making, which should include all Afghans. Remember that Afghanistan is a very diverse, multi-ethnic country at the heart of Asia, which, of course, because of that geography, as a result, we have had this very diverse national character where no one group can actually dominate power and rule over the country. As a result, it has to be democratic, it has to be shared, it has to be representative, and unless that happens, it's really unfortunate to see how sustainable peace would take hold in Afghanistan, perhaps by force, but force is something that Afghan people have not responded well to, and the Taliban know that from their own experience, that resistance for freedom and independence would continue, and as a result, only adding to the suffering of the Afghan people over the past 40 years. Here, I should also point out the colossal betrayal of the Afghan people and their democracy, developing democracy, I would say, and the freedoms that which they earned as a result of, making the ultimate sacrifice on a daily basis, both the Afghan forces and innocent civilians. We've lost over the past 20 years 250,000 and even more Afghans, 1 million more wounded, 4 million Afghans made refugees around the world. And news.
Ashraf, thank you very much for talking to WION.